So hey guys, staying here from Rocky Creek. Welcome back to the homestead. So today is New Year's Day, and you know, we didn't ring in the New Year's with nothing special because I've reached that point in my life where, well, I just like to go to bed early and get what rest I can. So we were in bed by 9 o'clock. Plus, I had to get up early because my buddy Chris is coming over with a tractor to help us move a bunch of mulch today. So the work never stops because of the new year. If anything, we want to get more work done this year. And so me and little man, we're hanging out here until he gets here. But I was thinking, you know, we shared, I think it was 2 years ago, our greatest achievements for that year. And I don't think I shared anything last year. I could remember, I might have them backwards. But this year, honestly, was probably a year of adversities. We had a lot more issues this year, but with those come a lot of learning experiences. And I feel like you have to go through those hard times in order to be better for the future, because sometimes some of the worst things are some of the greatest learning experiences. So today's video is just going to be basically recapping the highlights of some things that we did, because when you look back over the course of 12 months, I was kind of surprised that we did a whole lot more in 12 months than I expected. And it kind of helped me because I felt like this whole year compared to other years, like I was just spinning my wheels and getting nothing done. But when I was able to look back on it, although a lot of bad happened, there was still a lot of good. So come along, let's check out 2022 in review.
We originally put Mater and Olivia together thinking that we'd be able to breed the two of them. Well, it became very clear that Mater wasn't going to do the job, and he was just more interested in having somebody to hang out with each day. So we had to go to Plan B, which was going to require us expanding our pig area as we started to make way for some new additions to the homestead to be able to expand our cooney operation. This was pretty hard just because of the terrain we had, the rough ground, and of course, why we're called Rocky Creek, because the ground is nothing but rock. But after a lot of hard work and everything, it all paid off and we got it all taken care of. Now with the expansion of the pig area all done, it was time to load up and go pick up what ended up becoming one of the greatest additions we've ever had here on our homestead. Big Mama ended up coming to our homestead, and it was clear right at the get-go she had a lot of personality. She might be smaller than the other two coonies, but she definitely pushes on things and forces her way around far more than the others ever have. But we were excited to add her, and we were excited that she was going to become the future of our cooney operation.
There's the mama. Hey girl. You taking care of them babies? There they are, guys. They are 1 day old. I know, we're not going to bother them. We just want to see them. Oh, she's getting mad because she hears it, but I was letting y'all see one of these guys real quick. I know. Here, go back to mama.
This was probably the most devastating time I've ever had on the homestead. I got woke up to her house in full blaze to find her and the piglets scared to death, and then with her with burns on her back right here. Hair scorched, skin was all roughed up. Thankfully, none of the babies were hurt, but I was at a complete loss when this happened. First thing in the morning, all of our hard work, what seemed to be so exciting, all just gone in the matter of minutes. The only saving grace was that we saved all the pigs. And thankfully, I had a Logic shelter I could put in really quickly to make do. And all seemed like everything was perfect and we had finally recovered from a really bad situation until I didn't realize things could actually get worse. I've experienced sick pigs before with Mater where he just didn't have energy, but to see a pig struggling in the way that Big Mama did with what turned out to be a severe case of mastitis, I was at a loss as a new owner to pigs and to a sow who has had piglets. But thankfully, to the help of some great vets in our area and the former owner of Big Mama and a lot of medication and a lot of love and patience, we finally got her to pull through. But this was probably one of the scariest moments I've ever had on a homestead, just because I felt completely lost. Now, we could have just called it quits right there because we've invested so much, but that isn't the way that things are going to happen here on our property. So we had to go ahead and go to plan B or plan C or plan D or whatever you want to call it by this point. And we went ahead and started rebuilding a new structure for Big Mama that will hopefully work out for years to come. The silver lining in all this is I think this actually came out better than the one she had before that. But once we got her moved into this house, I ended up with another small issue. The pigs started breaking through fences to one another. We had Big Mama trying to get into Mater's pen, or we had Mater trying to get into her pen. I'm not 100% sure, I just know they were getting in. So we had to try something new, which was running some poly wire lines for the first time. We relied on our Premier One netting for any electrical needs. This was the first experience doing this, and it was actually a lot easier than I thought, and it seemed like a lot before you actually do it, but it actually wasn't that bad, and we learned a lot of new skills while working through this. Little did I know that these newly learned skills were going to be put to the test once I ended up coming home and discovered that a bear had attacked one of our piglets. We've never had a bear attack on one of our animals before, so I had to hurry up and come up with a solution. And thankfully, by learning how to run that poly line on the inside, we went ahead and ran it on the outside. And once doing so, we never had another bear issue right after that. So hopefully this will be a long-term fix for a problem. We then went from issues with a land animal, such as a bear, to a hawk being our problem, attacking our animals from the air. We ended up losing quite a number of chickens, so we had to use owl decoys. We hung stuff up from trees. We hung fishing line all over the place. We used cages. We used all kinds of stuff to try to protect them. But ultimately, our old rooster, Rusty, ended up fighting the hawk as it was attacking one of our hens. And after that, it seemed to take care of our problem. But unfortunately, Rusty ended up becoming too aggressive towards other chickens that we ultimately had to part ways with Rusty. So we had to start coming up with another solution on how we were going to deal with our hawk long term with him going away. One form of a solution was going to be to have a bigger and better chicken coop. One that they can easily go inside of, but also give them greater structure to protect them from any aerial predators. So we got this old shed that we were able to get to our property through some rigging, and we turned it into this wonderful new coop with an automatic chicken door, windows, the whole 9 yards. It ended up becoming one of the best additions to our homestead in terms of our structures. After the building was done and we replaced our chickens, I added what ended up becoming probably my favorite additional animal to the homestead during 2022, and that is the guard goose. I had zero experience of a goose. It's quite an interesting animal, but it's turned out to be a pretty awesome addition. I don't know if it's ultimately keeping the hawk away, but I've really enjoyed seeing its protective nature thus far. As always, we did our 2 batches of meat chickens again this year, except for the only thing we did different was we ran 1 batch underneath trees in the leaves and the other batch in an area of open pasture. This ended up working out really well, and it gave us some new insight in some ways we can utilize our chickens on our property. And just as always, we were able to produce a lot of really good homegrown pasture-raised or forest-raised chickens, if you will, for our family. This is something that we'll continue to do each year, and we'll try to improve on both the quality of the chicken and the quality of life that they get to live. Our garden this year wasn't as productive as in years past, but it was still a great achievement for 2022. We did raised beds for the first time, which we never did. We grew other crops that we never did, and there were still a lot of lessons learned. I think if I can combine our successes of previous years with some of the new things we tried this year, our future gardens should be some really fun times. There's a lot of work on a homestead, so sometimes you got to break out and have a little bit of family fun too. And one of the coolest things we did this year was we ended up going into my buddy Paul's plane, where I got to actually take control of the controls and fly it, and Miss Madison got to do her first flight ever. And who thought she'd have survived a flight where I was in control? Well, not really. I had my wingman next to me, Paul, who was going to make sure nothing bad happened. But definitely was a trip of a lifetime, and we're very thankful for that opportunity. In addition to our flight, we got to do a fun project we came across where we saw if the chickens would carve a pumpkin for us. We had a lot of fun doing it. It was very family friendly, and we even had a newspaper outlet from New York reach out to us who did an article on it in their news outlet, and we were very thankful for that opportunity. This will probably be a fun activity we'll do for years to come. If there was one area that I think we probably made greatest strides in this year on our homestead was incorporating technology. Now, I don't know if you consider a dehydrator technology, but I would, just because it uses electricity and it's kind of a different type of a tool to use. But we had everything from trying out dehydrators to bread makers to new cameras to new lights. It was really a lot of new technical gadgets that were too many to feature all in just a review video. So these are just some highlights of some of the technology uses that we used this year. But I would definitely say 2022 was a technology year for us on the homestead. It is big. You gonna make it up it?
Well, guys, you can probably see the huge mulch pile we're going to be working on today. Griffin's getting lost in it. I appreciate you coming along and checking out our year in review. And one great thing about this YouTube thing, because for us, it's not about making money. We have full-time jobs. We don't need that. Whatever little bit we get from YouTube just helps supplement our animals, but it's not at all anywhere close to a priority for us. So what's really great for me, and my favorite thing ever since I started this channel, is a combination of two things. It's been a great way to go back and reflect on sort of an archive of what we've been able to achieve on our property, but then also in terms of like our children and stuff, it's neat to see how much they've grown and to capture some of those highlights and be able to look back on them versus just, you know, so many pictures on phones that just get lost in transition and whatnot. So it's been nice to have that as another option. We got a lot that we want to get done for 2023. My big two focuses is going to be trying to really get this garden going the way that I really want to, which is why we're getting a lot of stuff such as this mulch in. But then in addition to the improving of the garden, my other biggest focus this year is going to be really trying to improve the layout of our property, and trying to improve our infrastructure and trying to more streamline and make better quality structures or improve on our setups that we have for our animals and stuff, because we were in such a rush when we got on here to get things established that sometimes we didn't get to do it exactly the way I wanted to, both aesthetically and functionality. And so they've worked for us, and we did it thrifty and on a budget. But now that things are kind of starting to plateau out, I want to try to improve on some of those stuff. So that's going to be a lot of focus going into this year. So guys, we appreciate those that have stuck with us through 2022, even though it's not been the greatest year for us, both here on the homestead and productivity on our YouTube channel. But for those that have been with us, we really do thank you, and we look forward to a great 2023. So you guys, Happy New Year, and we hope to be back with you here very soon in our next video. Thanks guys, and Happy New Year's.